Life is hectic.
Some days are just a blur.
We're Jay and Laura LaFoon, and we help busy couples stay married for life.
Welcome to the Married for Life podcast.
It's the saddest day of the year for me.
It's not for me. I love this time of year.
I know. I can identify for you. I don't know how many of you are this way, but I can identify for you both the happiest day of the year and the saddest day of the year. And
What's your happiest day of the year?
Neither one of those are holidays or my birthday or anything like that.
Or our anniversary?
That's a happy day of the year. Sorry, hon.
What's your happiest day of
What
the
do
year?
you think? If this is my saddest day of the year, what's my happiest
First day of summer? We live in Michigan. It
we
can't
live
be
in
spring.
Michigan, and the saddest day of the year is the day that we have to put all of our patio furniture away, and we button up everything for the long, cold winter. So the happiest
would be the day we get to get out the patio furniture.
my little slice of sunshine right there. Wow.
It just took me a little bit.
A little bit. Seriously, though, seasons come and seasons go, and I just love Michigan summers, and when we have to put the patio furniture away, it's just like, ugh.
Especially when we feel like we didn't get to use it that much this summer. We like to sit outside and have our coffee in the morning and read, and it was hot this summer.
We work on the patio in the afternoons with some iced tea and entertain friends at night on the patio with a fire. It's just a wonderful place. And
maybe we should move south where you can do that all the time.
no, because then it's not summertime. In the summer, they can't even go outside. That's ridiculous. I like summer to be during summer, not summer to be during fall. But anyway, it is fall. It's coming upon us. And
which is my favorite time of the year here in Michigan. The leaves start changing colors and the holidays are approaching. So that's always fun to think about. But for Jay, it's sad. It's just a sad day to put the patio is kind of blank. The patio is kind of plain and boring.
All the flowers
looking.
are gone.
Flowers are in the house.
But let's stop being depressing, okay? Because that's not what this podcast is
move
about.
on and not be depressed.
This podcast is about helping busy couples stay married for life. So one of the things we want to accomplish with this podcast is answering your questions. We know you've got questions about marriage and relationships, and we are happy to answer those questions. And if we don't know the answer, we're happy to go and find it for you. And so we want you to send your questions to podcast@jayandlaura.com. That's podcast@jayandlaura.com. And we will begin to take those questions and read them here on the podcast. But we have one from a listener already.
We do have one from a listener. Question from a listener, Jess. The greatest challenge in my marriage right now is a lack of joy. I know this comes from God and not my spouse, but it's becoming difficult to say I love you and I want you without feeling fake. Now she's referring to 2 points in a book that we have called He Said, She Said, and she's probably been to a date night and heard us talk about saying I love you and I want you to your husband. So that is what she's talking about, and having a hard time saying it without feeling fake. And here's what I encourage men and women to do. You know, sometimes we think love is this ooey gooey liver quiver feeling, and really love is something we have to do. It's an action. It's not a feeling. And so saying I love you every day isn't being fake. It's you need to say it sometimes in order to feel it. Sometimes we have to speak those words in order to actually make them a reality, because we're not always going to feel like we love our spouse. That feeling's not going to be there. In fact, I think, 18 months, what's that hormone called?
Serotonin or something that makes you feel good is wearing off. But the reality is you can act your way into a new way of feeling, but you can't feel your way into a new way of acting. And that's critical in marriage. And I think you really did, Jess. You hit the nail on the head. If you've got a lack of joy in your life right now, that's a God issue, not a spouse issue. It's manifesting. Unfortunately, it's manifesting with your spouse. But finding your joy in the Lord is between you and your walk with Him. And don't get discouraged, because we all go through seasons, and there are seasons where things will rob you of your joy. Tough time at work, tough time with your kids, passing of a loved one. Those rob you of joy. And that Satan intends that. Satan wants that. Satan relishes that. But, get yourself around some people who will lift you up, who will pray for you, who will, just that you can share your challenge with and watch that change. However, being married is a decision. It's not saying I do at the altar, it's saying I do every day. And that's something to keep in mind as you walk this path with your spouse.
So keep sending us your questions, and we will keep answering those questions. Remember to send those to podcast@jayandlaura.com.
Welcome to podcast number 2. We're very excited because we're going to talk about an issue that is an issue in every marriage, and that is communication.
Sometimes you feel like you're talking to a brick wall, don't you, when it comes to communication in marriage? It's like, why is this so difficult? We're two people who have the ability to talk. Why do we have such a problem communicating? It really is difficult. And, people ask us all the time, you guys, you speak for a living, you're the marriage experts. Certainly you've got communication down. Not at all.
The common fight in our house right now is what?
What? Maybe we should get our hearing checked.
There you go.
Yes, communication is an issue in every marriage. And I can remember years ago, we were actually playing golf with our good friend Ken Davis, and we were at a family convention thing in Ohio, I think is where it was. And I had just started playing golf, so I was not really very good at golf yet. And not that I'm good at it now, but I can beat Jay on occasion, so I'm getting better. But at this point, I had just started playing golf, and I'd only played golf with my friends, my lady friends, or Jay. I had not played with any other man because I wasn't going to play with any other man until I got really good and could, hold my own. Well, we were at this convention, and Ken just said, "Hey, Jay, let's go play golf." And Jay, without consulting me, said, "Okay, let's go play golf." So I hear that I'm going to go play golf with Ken Davis. And for those of you who don't know Ken's a comedian. I've heard Ken since I was in junior high school. Sorry, Ken, you're old. And so to go play golf with Ken Davis was like, oh my word, what have you gotten me into, Jay LaFone? So we're on the golf course. And again, remember, I'm not very good at golf. And for those of you who don't play golf, the point of the game, I think, I still haven't figured this out, but you're supposed to take the ball on the tee, hit it with your club, and you try and get the least amount of strokes you can till you get it in the hole on the green. Well, again, I wasn't very good. And I had what Jay called, actually, I did pretty good for like the first 5 or 6 holes. And then on hole number 7, it was a par 3. So it's only supposed to take you 3 tries to get from the tee.
I love how she says tries.
To the
shots. Honey, they're called shots.
Well, they're tries for me. 3 shots to get from the tee box to the green and put it in the hole. And I had what Jay called a Jerry Lewis attack, for that kind of dates us. But yeah, Jerry Lewis was this great, phenomenal comedian. And I couldn't do anything. I couldn't make my body do anything it was supposed to do in order to hit this stupid ball. Trying to hit it left and it went right. Trying to hit it straight and it went backwards. I mean, it was just awful. Got to the green and I got in the cart. I put the ball in the hole. I think I was probably on shot number 20, but I got in the cart and wrote down 3 because that's what you're supposed to do, right? Lie. That's what golf is all about. No, I'm just kidding. But then I was just devastated because now I'm embarrassed, and I'm embarrassed that I'm playing in front of these men and that I'm not playing well. And so I just said to Jay, I can't believe you're making me do this. I can't believe I'm such a bad golfer. And he's like, no, it's really okay. We're just going to move on to the next hole. I can't believe you just called me a bad golfer. I didn't call you a bad golfer. We're going to move on to the next hole. I can't believe you're saying these mean things to me. I wasn't listening to anything he was saying. I was making all this up in my head and was bringing it out because I was embarrassed that I was playing so awful. And I was accusing Jay of saying things he wasn't saying at all. He kept repeating, we're just going to move on to the next hole. We're going to move on to the next hole. And I kept getting more distressed and yelling at him and crying and telling him he was saying things he wasn't saying. I'm sure that kind of communication never happens in your marriage. You're probably perfectly good at communicating, but we really do want to talk about communicating, and we want to use the illustration.
Metaphor.
The metaphor,
of
illustration. They're the same thing.
One of the challenges in communication as a husband and wife is not realizing how many different ways you actually need to communicate. There's different ways and different things that you need to cover, and you can't do that all at once. And so we are going to use this metaphor of a house.
Or illustration.
It's not an illustration, it's a metaphor. Anyway, of a house. Now, we're going to talk about different rooms in the house. And you may not have one of these rooms in your house. But again, it's just a metaphor that we're using in order to kind of tell you all the different types of communication that must take place in marriage. It's an absolute must. So the first room we're theoretically, metaphorically going into is the living room. And the living room is all about communication on planning. Okay, what is the plan? And making sure that you have a plan in place as a couple for the day, for the week, for the month, whatever that is. But it really needs to be a place where you can come together in quiet. So if you've got a room without a TV, this is the best place.
Or without children.
Or without children, the best place to do it. Because that plan is so important. It's so important to get on the same page. Many times, one of the big issues in marriage is when we don't get on the same page. We also, for our family, and again, this is just us, this was where we would have our family devotions, because again, it was our quiet room. And I'll distinctly remember playing with my son, Tori, our son, not my son, our son Tori.
Because I did all the work.
Yes, in the family room. We were in the other room where the TV was, and we were wrestling on the floor and playing and watching a little TV. And I said, hey, buddy, would you go get Daddy his iced tea in the living room? And he was like 3 years old. And he's like, the living room. I said, the living room. He goes, oh, you mean the devotion room. And that really warmed my heart, because that said to him, this is where we have our devotions every day as a family.
So sitting down practically as a couple, husband and wife, whether it's over a cup of coffee or over lunch or just in the morning or in the evening, but do this at the beginning of the week, whether it's a beginning of your week, could be a Saturday night, a beginning of our week could be a Monday morning, whatever that works for you. But looking at the week ahead, what are the schedules? What meetings do we have? What kid activities do we have? Do we have small group? Do we have, just looking at your week and planning it out. This will also help you moms when you're planning meals, because you know who's home and who's not home, and really planning those times of meals and what activities you have, doing that once a month. We do that as well. We try and look at our schedule. Actually, now that we are so busy traveling, we look at it probably in quarters. We look at the fall, the winter, the spring, and the summer, looking at it that way. That's a good way to plan vacations, to plan getaways. But seriously, sitting down in that quiet room, whatever that might be, we've just metaphorically called it the living room.
Well, again, and it's a common phrase, and it's somewhat trite, but an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So the more you can communicate up front about what the plan is and getting yourself on that plan, the more frustration you will save yourself down the road.
It really is important for mom and dad to get on the same page when it comes to everything, and starting with that schedule and that plan is really a good place for it to start. So the next room we're going to go into is the family room.
My favorite room.
This is the family room. This is all about communication through playing. We think of playing with kids. We don't think of playing with your spouse, unless it's in a sexual way instead of a fun way. I mean, not saying that. Didn't say it wasn't fun. Didn't mean it that way. I think you just did. I meant play through like dating and doing things that you two can enjoy together. I mean, for Jay and I, golf is something that we enjoy doing together in the summertime. In the wintertime, when we can't play golf here in Michigan, cooking is one of the ways that we play together. So that's just something, finding those commonalities, those common interests. Maybe it's going to movies together. You love to go to movies, or you love to watch movies. Golf, walking, running, whatever it might be. But finding those common things that you can do together as husband and wife and play together.
Well, I don't know who said this, so I'm not going to actually quote the person. I think it was Socrates. I may be wrong. I'm probably wrong. But said something to the effect of, I can find out more about a person in an hour's worth of play than in an 8-hour conversation. And that's really true about you and your spouse too, is that when you play together, you break down barriers, you break down walls, and whether it's just going for a walk in the park, and that can be play for you, or if it is playing a sport or a hobby. We were at Alma College at the gym today, and there was a bunch of men and women playing pickleball, and man, they were having a ball. So find something to do together where you can play together. Again, it doesn't have to be a game. It could be something as, maybe you like going to movies together, or you like going to theaters or whatever. But bottom line is, find that play, because that play is a different form of communication where you communicate non-verbally. And ladies, I'm just going to be honest as I can. For men, doing something together is significant communication. We don't have to say a word, but if we're doing it together, there's a significant bond for a man. So don't let play slip out of your relationship.
Hi, everyone. This is Paul Thomas, Director of Live Events at Celebrate Ministries. We'll continue touring the house with Jay and Laura in just a minute, but I wanted to update you on a few things we have going on here. For those of you in central Wisconsin, Jay and Laura will be in the Wausau area on Friday and Saturday, November 1st and 2nd, for a weekend ultimate date night experience sponsored by Thrivent Financial. That'll take place at the Central Wisconsin Convention and Expo Center. If you live in Michigan, Jay and Laura will be in the Mid-Michigan area, and you can take part in that ultimate date night at 6 p.m. on Sunday, November the 4th at the New Beginnings Church in Six Lakes. Finally, Columbus, Ohio. Jay and Laura are coming to you. Join them on Thursday, November the 15th at 6:30 p.m. for the ultimate date night sponsored by The River Radio, and that will be at Reynoldsburg United Methodist Church. To purchase tickets and to find out when Jay and Laura LaFoon are coming to your area, visit us on the web at jayandlaura.com/events. Now, we want to give away a special resource today to help you and your spouse work on communication. We have a 365-day devotional called Celebrate Your Marriage that you and your spouse can use to work on communication on a daily basis. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to give one of these away, and here's what you need to do. Email us at podcast@jayandlaura.com. That's podcast@jayandlaura.com, and let us know the answer to this question. What is the most fun you and your spouse have had on a date night? What is the most fun you and your spouse have had on a date night? We'll pick one email at random, and we will send you a copy of the Celebrate Your Marriage devotional. So email to podcast@jayandlaura.com and let us know what is the most fun you and your spouse have had on a date night. Now, the 365-day devotional also makes a great gift as we approach the holiday season. So you can either give the gift of communication this year or purchase a copy for you and your spouse to use. Head over to our store at jayandlaura.com/store to order your copy today. Now, let's get back to Jay and Laura.
So continuing on and talking about communicating in every room of the house, that metaphor of a house and all the different rooms and the different types of communication you have in your relationship, we've already talked about the living room, which is that communication through planning, and we've discussed the family room, which is communication through play. Now we're going to move into the dining room. Now this is like trivial communication. This isn't like life-changing, deep communication. This is that, how was your day? You know, I can remember when I would pick our son Tori up from school when he was young, and he would get in the car and I'd say, so how was your day? And he wouldn't, oh, it was good, it was bad, whatever. He didn't give you a lot of information. But when we sat down at the dinner table and we would all of us talk about our days, and he would give all this information that he didn't give in the car. So this is really just that, how was your day? Trivial, not life-changing, but it's still important communication that needs to happen in your marriage.
This is the communication that is becoming obsolete in our culture because of devices. Instead of talking about the trivial things of the day and getting that off of our chest and out of our minds, we're on our devices. And so for us, the dining room where we're going to eat, which is also a device-free zone in our home, is, and ironically enough, who do we have the most problem with? With the
Grandma.
Grandma, that's right. Anyway.
Grandma brings her phone to the dinner table.
Right, and that is not allowed. But anyway, this communication, again, it's not rocket science, but it's so important to just find out, if Johnny says, I didn't like science 3 days in a row, then guess what? There's an issue there that we need to address. If mom is not being able to talk about her day because she's been stuffed with the kids all day, that's trust me, fellas, at some point that's essentially going to blow up. And the other fun thing you can do at the dining room table is have a little fun with the family. Just keep it light, keep it up. Your kids, everyone's day is so busy and has so much pressure. Here's a great place to just kind of let off some steam. I was a youth minister. I am basically an 8-year-old who shaves. I can admit that. One night for dinner, Laura made Jell-O jigglers for dessert. Jell-O jigglers. Now, if you're unfamiliar with those, that's Jell-O that you can eat with your fingers. And we were all done with a dinner and had dessert. And I took the Jell-O jiggler and I just slammed it and stuck it to my forehead until someone noticed. Well, Tori was the first one to notice, and so he stuck one on his forehead. And then Grace noticed, and she stuck one on her forehead. And Mom was so busy talking, she didn't notice. this, but finally...
I was getting in my trivial communication.
That's right. But so then we invented a game, and the game was to see who could get the Jello jiggler off of their forehead and into their mouth without using their hands. Trust me, we laughed for 20, 30 minutes at the contortions people were doing with their face. And it's, again, letting off that steam. Dinner time, if you can carve out even 15 minutes, it is great time for you and your family.
Now, you may be saying, Jane Laura, we don't sit at the dining room table and eat. We have a counter in our kitchen. Again, this is just a metaphor. We're not necessarily talking about you sitting down in the dining room every day and that's where you go, so how was your day? That would feel a little rote, a little not natural. So this is just trivial communication wherever it may happen. Maybe it happens at your kitchen counter when the kids come home from school at the end of the day. Maybe it happens over a cup of coffee with you and your husband, just talking about how your day was. Something that we really, really stress to married couples all the time is that as a husband and wife, you need to have 15 minutes of uninterrupted conversation every day. This is where you'll get in that trivial communication of, hey, how was your day? What did you do today? How did it go at work? How was your meeting with the boss? Those types of, again, not life-changing communication, but just that trivial catching up with each other and figuring out how the day went.
And gentlemen, listen carefully. This is how your wife connects with you. Okay, let me say that again. This trivial communication is how your wife connects with you. So if you want to connect with your wife, you need to first have her connect with you in the way that makes her. Now we're going to go into the next room in our metaphorical house. Happens to be the favorite room, my favorite room in the house. And it's not what you think, and it's not why you think. My favorite room in the house is the kitchen. And it is not because I like to eat, which is true.
We all like to eat. We love food.
And I know some people are going, wait, your favorite room's not the bedroom? No, it's not the bedroom. But the kitchen, and the reason it's my favorite room is because of my love language. My love language is acts of service. And the kitchen is all about communicating through serving each other. And it's just small gestures of serving each other speak volumes about that you actually care about the little things in my life.
And this isn't the serving like waiting on each other hand and foot. We're not talking about that. We're talking about looking at your spouse, seeing what their needs are, what their problems are, the light, how life is going right now, and finding ways that you can serve them. It kind of goes back to a podcast that we did about loving your spouse. What is it you do every day to show your spouse they are your priority? This is that same type of serving your spouse. Here's an example. When we were in youth ministry, I had we had a child at the time. We had our son Tori, and he was very young. We spent a lot of time eating dinner out.
Taco Bell.
Because
McDonald's.
we were too busy to make
Pizza
dinner. We were too busy to make dinner, so we just ate out a lot. And my busiest day of the week was Tuesday. Tuesday mornings, I started very early in the morning, earlier than anyone should have to get up in the morning, with a junior high Bible study, and then I would have club all day, and Tuesdays were just the bad day. So Tuesdays were a bad day. We ate out a lot. And then a third item that fits into this story is the fact that I hate bathrooms. I hate to clean bathrooms. I really don't like bathrooms at all. I don't want to, I'm just weird about bathrooms. And to have to clean bathrooms when you have a man and a little child, little boy in the bath, yeah, it's just not my favorite thing to do.
With aiming issues?
Now, Christmas is my favorite time of the year. And we start decorating for Christmas the day after Thanksgiving. I figure if we're going to put up a tree, we're going to get all that stuff out, we're going to do it for a long period of time. We even hang the stockings the day after Thanksgiving. Now, I'm a peeker when it comes to Christmas. I like to try and figure out what I'm getting for Christmas. I used to do this as a child. I would go up into the attic, unwrap my gifts, see my gift, wrap it back up again, and then act surprised on Christmas morning. But Christmas is my favorite time of the year. So this particular Christmas, we hung up the stockings and got everything done the day after Christmas. And a couple days later, I'm looking at the stockings where they were hanging, and I noticed that mine has like a flat thing in it. And not like jewelry flat, but like paper flat. So
Love coupons.
Yeah, that was what I figured it was. And again, I didn't peek. I used great self-restraint not to peek, but I did examine without touching. I examined by looking at it and saw that it was in fact a piece of paper, and I figured it was some homemade love coupon I was going to get for Christmas. I'm like, wee, I got to be excited on Christmas morning for this homemade love coupon. Jewelry box would have been better. But so Christmas morning comes, And we open the stockings first, and then we do gifts after that. So we're all opening our stockings, and sure enough, I dump my stocking out, and this piece of paper floats out onto the floor. And I'm like, here it comes. Love coupon. Act excited, Laura. Be happy for it. I opened it up, and it was the best Christmas gift I ever got. Now, remember, Tuesdays are bad days. We eat out a lot. I hate bathrooms. So just remember that. So there were 2 love coupons. They were 2 coupons homemade on the computer. And the first one said, I, Jay LaFoon, will cook dinner every Tuesday night for a year. I'm like, sweet, this is good. So then I opened up the second one, and it said, I, Jay LaFoon, will clean all the bathrooms in the house for a year. It was the best Christmas gift I ever got. Because what
And it
had
was
he
the
done?
only year she got it.
Exactly. Because what had he done? He had looked at my life, the hecticness, the things I liked, the things I didn't like, what was going wrong, how I wanted to be the perfect supermom. And none of those things were going to happen. But he could help a little bit in serving me by cooking dinner on Tuesday nights and cleaning bathrooms. That was the best Christmas gift I ever got. And that is what we're talking about, is serving your spouse in ways that speak volumes into their life and communicating through that service that you do for your spouse.
So this issue of communication is so big. We have decided that we're going to make it 2 podcasts, and we're going to visit more rooms in our Oh, it's not a metaphor. It's a virtual house. There. Welcome to the
virtual.
21st century, the virtual house. But we've covered the living room about planning, the family room about playing, the dining room about trivial communication, and finally the kitchen about serving. And yes, we will be moving into the bedroom eventually here on the podcast next week. But we really appreciate you guys. We want to ask you to do a few favors for us. Number one, share the podcast. Help tell your friends and neighbors about the fact that we're helping busy couples stay married for life. Rate us and give us a rating so that we can really see what you guys think about what we're doing. And more than anything else, send us your questions. Send your questions to podcast@jayandlaura.com, and we will answer your questions here on the Married for Life podcast.